What is up, guys? Josh back here again with you today for another one, and this one that I'm doing here today is another spirit review, a whiskey review, and more specifically than that, a rye whiskey review. I picked this one up a little while back that I had before, well, really long time ago, several years back. I had this one, and this is the first bottle I've gotten of it again since that first time I had it. And it is the Rittenhouse Straight Rye Whiskey, bottled in bond, 100 proof. Bought this mainly for mixed drinks, cocktails, that kind of thing. Just kind of wanted a sort of overproof rye whiskey to really kind of punch up some cocktails, some whiskey sours, old fashions, what have you. So wanted to pick it up. I do know that Rittenhouse is a fairly well-respected rye whiskey. Again, I haven't had it in a long while, so definitely wanted to do a review on it here on the channel, and kind of break it down a little bit more, see what specific notes, because I never really paid too much attention to it while drinking it or anything like that. Usually, like I said, as recent since I bought it, it's pretty much just gone to mixed drinks and whatnot. So I haven't really had it on its own necessarily, and really kind of sipped it on its own. So yeah, definitely want to check it out, and so go ahead and see what we think about it. So the Rittenhouse Rye is a product of the Heaven Hill Distillery, which also makes Evan Williams, Larceny Bourbon, and of course the Heaven Hill Old Style Bourbon, all that kind of stuff. And the what I found about the name of the name from the rye itself, the Rittenhouse part of the name. So the Rittenhouse name is basically meant to commemorate the Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. From the it's supposed to be like one of the 5 original city squares planned by the city's founder William Penn back in the late 1600s. Which apparently today now it's really just kind of an area of fine dining and luxury hotels and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of just meant to be like a commemorative rye whiskey. Also, just kind of a mixologist favorite, which is part of the reason why I bought it, because I just kind of knew it's supposed to be like one of those workhorse type spirits for a lot of different bars when it comes to adding a 100 proof whiskey into different cocktails and whatnot, mixed drinks and everything like that. Yeah, just kind of really more meant to be a commemorative sort of rye whiskey from the Heaven Hill Distillery. So with that little taste of a pour that we have here, you kind of see that it's mostly a kind of a just light kind of copper color, a little bit of a orange sort of color in there as well. But mostly a just kind of copper type of color, nothing too fancy or anything about it. With that, so let's go ahead and get right into the aroma on this one. So with the aroma, it's really you get some caramel notes in there, a little bit of caramel sweetness, some definite rye spiciness to it, definite spiciness with that. Kind of like peppercorn, black pepper, cinnamon kind of notes in there. A little bit of nuttiness too. And an overall just sort of like baking spiciness to it, like different baking spices, cinnamon, star anise, all that good stuff. Yeah, it just kind of really smells like a straight up, just kind of spicy rye whiskey. Nothing too crazy about it or anything like that. Nothing too unique that I'm really getting out of it. Really just sort of a nutty, light sort of spiciness going on with it. So let's go ahead and taste this one. With the flavor up front, You're getting lots of that the oakiness, oak barrel for sure. That's what I get right up front is the sort of the wooden oak, you know, barrel flavors in there. Kind of behind that, you have more of that rye spiciness, a little bit of caramel sweetness in there that was found in the nose. Um, and you towards the back end, you get a bit more of a sort of kind of charcoal kind of flavor, kind of charred flavor there. Fairly dry finish and everything like that, dry taste on the finish. Um, and it's honestly like a bit of a dry rye in its own right too. Some of them can be a little on the sweeter side. For example, Bullet Rye is kind of a sweeter type of rye whiskey. This one's very much just spice forward, spice and oak forward. Nothing else kind of too complex there about it. You know, just really a nice kind of balance between the oak and the spice. And that's kind of really what I'm getting with it uncut. I do have a little bit of water here that I've kind of poured into this, so we'll go ahead and pour just maybe a smidgen here since I don't have really too much whiskey to pour, too much whiskey that I did pour out of it, so that should be enough there. So we'll see if this kind of opens up any more notes of like any vanilla or anything like that. They mentioned the tasting notes on the site being largely spice and oak, which is what I definitely got. They also mentioned kind of a buttery sort of cocoa kind of flavor profile in there as well. I'm not really so much getting cocoa or anything, more getting, you know, I guess the butteriness that they're interpreting. I'm kind of getting more of a caramel sort of flavor. So we'll see how this does with the flavor, see if it'll open it up a little bit. Go ahead and get a nose on it again real quick. And the nose really just sort of is now tampered down from that addition of the water. Really not getting much all anymore on the nose other than just some light kind of barrel kind of aroma, kind of just woody sort of aroma. So see if there's anything different with the flavor now. With the flavor, a bit more of the lot more of the vanilla notes that you would usually find in whiskeys. A bit more of the caramel, kind of a blend of vanilla caramel now. Less on the kind of charred oak barrel flavor up front. That kind of has moved now to the back on the finish. A bit more sweetness comes out now too, a sort of herbal sort of sweetness I'm getting now. Yeah, not so much a caramel sweetness, but more of like an herb kind of sweetness. I'm guessing that's from those rye grains and whatnot. But it is a little sweeter now. It was less so before. It's kind of more dry and you know, just very woody, being uncut with any sort of water. But definitely getting a vanilla caramel cinnamon sweetness going on with it now, with that water added to it. Overall, it is a really decent rye whiskey. I think I got it for I want to say $21, $22 before tax. So really affordable, especially at 100 proof. Oops. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. For me, not so much one that I would continue to just kind of buy as a sipping one. It really does work well in mixed drinks, though. Probably would make a very good whiskey and Coke, I'm sure. Or it really goes well in old fashions, whiskey sours. I think I've tried it. I'm sure it would make a really good Manhattan as well. But for me, yeah, it's definitely not really one that I would go back to for a sipping quality. I believe that I would really, honestly, go to Evan Williams, also Heaven Hill Distilleries. Evan Williams Bottled in Bond, I think, is a better sipping whiskey than the Rittenhouse Rye. That being said, if you are more of a rye fan than bourbon fan, you might enjoy this one a little bit more. I do enjoy rye, but I think I would probably kind of edge bourbon over rye a little bit in my own personal preference. as far as tastes and everything like that go. So for me, it is definitely kind of more of a mixology type of a rye. It's fine, by itself. Nothing really all that bad about it. But really, I think it kind of serves better as a mixer type of rye. But I would check it out if you see it. The Rittenhouse Straight Rye Whiskey. Definitely one to check out if you are interested in picking up a new kind of fairly affordable rye, especially for the price. You do get a good bit of bang for your buck. So yeah, would definitely check it out. Again, just kind of more of a mixer rye for me, but one that is definitely deserves a spot on anyone's mini bar at home, I think. So that's my review for it, guys, and I think I'm gonna try to do. Maybe I'm thinking about maybe doing possibly as much as I talk about cocktails and everything on this channel when it comes to like the spirits and everything like that. I do enjoy them straight, but I also do enjoy like a really good old fashioned or whiskey sour or anything like that. Different rum drinks and everything like that. So I may do something, kind of like a series of mixology videos too, possibly. But let me know what you think in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing something like that. Otherwise, I'll just stick to the beer and whiskey reviews and spirit reviews as they are now. But until next time, guys, thank you for watching.